Welcome to How Roman Propaganda Built an Empire Without Social Media. This is episode 2 of 10, Signs of the Times. We tend to think of astrology as entertainment, a birth chart, a horoscope, a flirtation with fate. But in ancient Rome, it was something else. The stars weren't just distant, they were directive mapped, read, consulted, not to escape earthly matters, but to define them. Rome turned heaven into hierarchy. The zodiac became a curriculum vitae. And prophecy became policy. Octavian, soon Augustus, didn't just inherit Caesar's legacy, he inherited the skies, linked to Virgo, the bringer of peace. Aligned with a mythic age foretold in celestial verse. Planets were consulted, births carefully timed, omens weighed like counsel, not superstition. Strategy. Astrology became a messaging system. A cosmic storyboard casting Rome's rulers as divine inevitability. Because when cosmic belief becomes curated identity, is it mysticism or messaging? What better way to crown a leader than to say the stars already had? A clear night in ancient Rome. Stars wheel silently across a marble horizon. They're the same constellations we see today, but back then, they weren't just stars. They were signs, commands, symbols of fate wrapped in fire. And the powerful knew it. Because when people believe the heavens are watching, you make sure they appear to be watching you back. Astrology in Rome wasn't fringe, it was infrastructure. A celestial bureaucracy that mirrored the one on Earth. Emperors didn't just consult horoscopes, they choreographed their reigns around them. No coronation without a favorable alignment, no law passed without omens, no war declared without the stars' consent. The heavens became a stage, and Rome, its most devoted audience. Augustus, Rome's first emperor, minted Capricorn on his coins. Not because it was his birth sign, it wasn't. But because Capricorn was tied to Saturn, the god of order and renewal. It aligned him with a myth of destiny. A cosmic reboot after civil war. And it worked. The Sidus Iulium, the Julian star, appeared during games Augustus held for Julius Caesar. He claimed it was Caesar's soul ascending to the heavens. Proof that his lineage was divine. Proof that his rule was written in the stars. Tiberius refused to accept supreme power until August confirmed the timing. Domitian curated his public image through the zodiac. Libra, the scales, justice incarnate. Even astrologers were licensed. Augustus made rogue readings illegal. Because cosmic stories could challenge the imperial one. The stars weren't just symbols, they were strategy. Today, the cosmos still sells fate. Zodiac-themed product drops. Investors blaming Mercury retrograde for risky trades. Apps like CoStar and the Pattern deliver daily identity prompts. But it's not belief, it's behavior. And like Rome, whoever curates the data, controls the pattern. Rome didn't need the stars to predict success, it only needed them to confirm it. Rome choreographed its decisions around the heavens. Augurs studied the flight of birds. Their approval preceded major state acts. No omen, no law. Julius Caesar ignored multiple omens, a dream of ruin, a sacrificial ox with no heart, and a whispered warning. Beware the Ides. The next day, he died beneath the statue of Pompey. Signs mattered, not because they were true, but because people acted like they were. Modern leadership does the same. But with polling, optics, and data timing. Budget announcements wait for sentiment highs. Tough policies are buried under global distractions. No birds. Just dashboards. Beneath the augurs stood the haruspices. State-funded specialists who read futures in animal organs. Livers, intestines, kidneys interpreted like state reports. If a blemish appeared, legislation was paused. This wasn't mysticism. It was civic delay wrapped in divine authority. We've traded goats for graphs, but behavior hasn't changed. Data now serves as omen. If approval ratings dip, policies align later. If narrative falters, interpretation adjusts. Rome built a society where timing looked divine. We've built one where timing still decides, but now we call it strategy. Astrology didn't trickle down in Rome, it flooded. In Pompeii, horoscopes were scratched into walls. Zodiac pendants dangled from market stalls. Enslaved astrologers offered natal charts for a few coins. The stars became democratized spirituality, accessible mystique, and for the first time, identity became celestial. Today, astrology is algorithmic. Apps with millions of users offer daily guidance based on precise planetary placements. But what they actually deliver is identity structure. Rising signs in dating bios. Moon phases as mood markers. Personality now comes in constellations. Belonging, packaged. Rome understood this. Emperors took their signs public, minted them into currency, and aligned civic festivals with conjunctions. Not because the stars said to, because it worked. In a fragmented empire, shared symbols helped unite. Just as today, digital identities link strangers. A star sign isn't proof, but it's enough to build trust or avoid it. Rome didn't need belief from everyone. It only needed them to act as if it mattered. And behavior, shaped en masse, becomes compliance. Rome didn't survive because astrology was accurate. It survived because it was useful. Leaders aligned their rise with eclipses. Coins commemorated omens. Power bathed itself in mystery, not to explain, but to persuade. And if your legitimacy arrives from the stars, opposition starts to feel like blasphemy. Today's leaders don't need augurs. But they still perform significance. Speeches with cosmic metaphors. Campaign launches on solstices. Products revealed on auspicious dates. Destiny is implied. Intent is obscured. And when people seek meaning more than truth, strategy becomes sacred. The system doesn't need you to believe. It only needs you to stop asking who decides what feels meant to be. The Romans licensed astrologers. We license data models. Mystery, curated and repeated, becomes a lens. And once you're looking through it, whoever shapes the lens shapes what you see. We say we've outgrown superstition. But behavior doesn't lie. We still pause for retrogrades. We still project patterns onto stars and signals. We still wrap identity in alignment. The stars never answered the Romans. But Rome didn't need them to. They just needed the people to believe they were listening. And today, when meaning feels scarce and the future unclear, we still look up, hoping the gods are watching, and wondering if they ever stopped. The Romans didn't ask for belief, they choreographed it, in the sky, in the omens, in the timing. Astrology wasn't an answer. It was a lens, and once belief was shaped, behavior followed. Today, we think we've outgrown superstition, but we haven't outgrown meaning, and we still respond to what feels written. Astrology in Rome wasn't background color. It was infrastructure. Imperial time didn't tick to clocks, it pulsed to omens. Crucial decisions, senatorial votes, military campaigns, even court hearings, were often postponed, not because of politics, but because of portents. Bird flight, thunder, eclipses. Each one acted like a bottleneck for Roman bureaucracy. Astrological figures weren't advisors. They were gatekeepers. Their charts could decide when emperors marched, or when marriages could proceed. These weren't private beliefs. They were public tools of statecraft. Authority followed the stars, or pretended to. But Rome's real genius wasn't in obedience to fate. It was in reframing it. Take Augustus. He didn't merely accept astrology, he weaponized it. His coins didn't print his actual zodiac sign. They printed Capricorn, because it radiated composure, mastery, and rebirth. Branding, not biography. Public buildings followed the same logic. Temples weren't just religious, they were celestial case studies. The Temple of Apollo didn't just honor a god, It reaffirmed Augustus's cosmic legitimacy. Every column and carving whispered one idea: this ruler is chosen. Not by vote, but by sky. Even Rome's most feared rulers leaned on symbols. Domitian, known for cruelty, adopted Libra, the scales. Justice as camouflage. When ideology falters, image steps in. And Rome was masterful at aligning symbols with supremacy. Astrology didn't belong to the elite alone. In marketplaces, bathhouses, and street graffiti, horoscopes were scratched beside food prices. Clay tablets offered zodiac compatibility. Even tombs bore planetary symbols. Not to mourn, but to place lives within a cosmic cartography. Astrology was more than belief. It was bureaucracy. A language Rome spoke fluently, through laws, coins, rituals, and architecture. Today, astrology lives on differently. Apps prescribe moods. Moon signs curate selfhood. Not prediction, but prescription. Rome understood a key truth: you don't need people to believe, you need belief to be useful. What started as divine speculation became mass coordination. The empire found unity across fractured lands. By looking up. Not because the heavens demanded order, but because Rome used them to supply it. Astrology gave Rome rhythm, not just for rituals, but for rule. Chaos became coordination. Coincidence became consequence. Ordinary events turned into scripted inevitability. Omens weren't optional, they were operational. Next episode, we step out of the sky and into the flesh, the pageantry, the performance, the clarity that coerces. We enter arenas, temples, and triumphal processions to uncover Rome's visual machinery. No stars this time, just spectacle, where power didn't come from law, but from theater. This was not governance by truth. It was governance by image. Thank you for listening. Coming next is episode 3, The Empire of the Eye, where persuasion wasn't negotiated, it was choreographed. Truth wasn't spoken, it was staged. In stone, in sound, in ceremony.